Today on Grantham, the XM-157, the U.S. Army's brand new optic, not to be confused with Sirius XM radio, although that might be a future at some point, we don't know yet. But today on Grantham, we're going to talk about it. There's obviously a lot going on here. Stay tuned. But before we get into that, we of course have to thank the biggest sponsor of the channel, which is who, Micah?
The Snoring Desert Institute.
We're going to lose them because of this, but that is the Sonoran Desert Institute. A big thank you to them for sponsoring the channel. If you're looking to get your start in gunsmithing, they are the people to go to. And even more hilarious, seeing that we're here at Vortex and surrounded by Vortex employees, is Primary Arms One-Stop Shop. Big thank you to them for sponsoring the channel. We can't thank them enough. Very based. Thank you, Primary Arms. And of course, Micah, what can we not forget?
Patreon. Onwardresearch.com. Buy a hat.
Make it your personality.
Yeah, get girls.
We're not saying that's a possibility, but it couldn't hurt your chances based on where you're at right now. Ladies, gentlemen, my often forgotten, but most certainly not by me, ACOGs. Welcome to the channel. Today, the XM-157. There's a lot of questions from you guys. There's a lot of concerns. And I had all those questions. I had all those concerns. And I think we're going to be able to answer most of them. We have about 800 rounds on this, and to help us answer a lot of these questions, we have the project manager for the XM-157 from Vortex, Paul Allen. Welcome to the channel. Alexander, actually. Welcome. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course.
For coming on, man.
Happy to be out here.
So, why is it big? What is this? Explain.
Great question. So this is the next generation squad weapon fire control. So there's a lot of words that we just threw out. Mike already reviewed the XM5 and the XM250, so the weapon entrance. This is the sister program to the NGSW weapons, the fire control. So at its core, the optic that we're looking at is a 1:8 optic with an integrated display in the first focal plane and a laser rangefinder incorporated into it. So with the press of a button and in a fraction of a second, the system will range a target, receive the range back, calculate the ballistics based on the range to target and the environmentals, and then it'll display a drop point for the user inside their field of view as they're looking through the scope.
It's absolutely psychotic when I've actually been using it. So we started at the range just at about 0 to 50, just kind of getting used to it. It's much like any other 1 to 6, 1 to 10 that Vortex has made. But when I started shooting it out here at extended distances, it's just crazy how simple it is to make shots and impacts. It really does blow my mind. Beyond the laser range-finding capabilities, this also does have an IR laser as well, correct?
It does.
So that is, in some cases, able to replace some of the devices that we already put out on our weapons. So, like, I know the XM5 is pretty front-heavy. This allows us to kind of backload a lot of that weight in some ways.
Correct. It also gets the sighting system, those auxiliary sighting systems, such as your Viz and IR aiming lasers, off of the rail of a weapon and can be mounted to the receiver. So we don't need to be worrying about rail flex nearly as much when we have a XM-157 mounted to the weapon.
The future is bendy. Okay, so before we go too far into it, we kind of get lost in the weeds here. Talk about the optic.
Yeah. So again, fire control is designed to range target and display the drops inside the optic itself. Press of a button, we've made this super simple for the user. Now, to clear a couple of things up about what the fire control is. One of the things is that we're dealing with two different definitions of fire control, right? We're dealing with a military definition of fire control, and we're dealing with a commercial definition of fire control. So in military definition, we're talking about something that was traditionally used with tanks to, as a sighting system to make sure that rounds were on target. On the commercial side, we have fire control systems, and when we talk about trigger units. This is not related to a trigger unit, and it does not have a trigger interrupt. So at all times, the operator maintains control of the weapon system. This does not impede the firing of the weapon in any way, shape, or form.
Could you imagine having like a trigger interrupt where you can't fire till you're like on target, you're like trying to suppress somebody? It's a bad day.
Right.
It's a really bad day.
we feel the same way for most all situations. So this is purely providing the user with an aim point. Again, we are not getting into the actual manipulation of the trigger. That's all done by the operator.
And when it comes to this optic as well, this can be removed.
It can. Yep.
So are we talking, when we don't have this on, it functions just as your normal run-of-the-mill low power variable optic.
Exactly. Yep. So even if we flip it around here, so this is not an entirely digital solution. In fact, at its core, the system is a 1:8 first focal plane optic. So all the controls that user who uses an LPVO, they're already going to be familiar with those controls: diopter adjustment, magnification adjustment, and 2 physical turrets for adjusting the etch reticle, your windage and elevation. Then on top, we have the removable laser rangefinding enabler. That houses the laser rangefinder, and then it also has co-aligned vis and IR aiming lasers. So when one laser is aligned with the weapon system, the other 2 are slaved together. So it makes the alignment and the zeroing of the system incredibly easy. So in a no power state with the transparent display, the user still has a 1:8 variable power optic available to them. Now, one of the other things that we're really proud about with this system is the fact that we're using US-made lenses for the glass, which is something that we're not aware of any other companies doing for their optics.
Yeah.
So
I'm not going to say it. Yeah. No,
it's a point that we're extremely proud about for the system, and it's a capability we wanted to make sure was manufactured in the United States as much as possible for something that was going to our troops.
I am satisfied with my Vortex product. If you're used to the Vortex 1:10, if you've looked through that, it is so similar. Those last kind of 2 magnification levels, it's really hard to tell in my mind, but it feels very much so like that. The reticle, to me, looks very similar to the 1:10, and it should be noted that, you know, prior to having laser rangefinders on optics and stuff, most reticles allowed you to range. This goes all the way back to like the old SVD optic. So this reticle also has a ranging post on it for based off the height of a man or the width of a man, specifically at the chest. Now, the problem with that, obviously, is if I'm trying to shoot at like Tom Cruise or something, who's like 4'8", it's going to be very difficult for me to get the exact range on him because it's based off of, I believe it's 5'7" for the average male. So that's your shots could be off. So having a laser rangefinder is, of course, way better. So when we talk about that, there are, of course, other laser range-finding units that are widely used, like the Wilcox Raptor.
Yep.
That's used quite a bit. However, you have that on a diving board on top of the optic. It's a good solution. However, it's not integrated into the optic like what we're seeing here, all in one package.
Exactly. Yep, and the integration into one package is truly what makes the system unique. So again, integrated into the first focal plane, we have a transparent display system which we can provide information to the user inside their field of view. And that can be anything from simple drop points with 10-mile-an-hour wind holds to full-featured menus or augmented reality. So because we use a full display rather than just having separate illuminated points, we can allow for all sorts of custom symbology inside the fire control.
Symbology, I like that. Now, what does this measure? Obviously, it's measuring range. Cool, but you know, I can bring up a laser rangefinder, but it's measuring a couple other things as well, correct?
Correct, yep. So we're measuring the range to target. We also have an onboard atmospheric sensor and thermometer. So we're reading the pressure and the temperature as we're calculating them for a shot. The optic does that automatically, and it's all transparent to the user. So that's one of the big things that that's very important to us with the fire control program, is having transparency to the user and ease of use.
I'm sorry, somebody made a comment when I first posted this, and they're like, everybody a gangster until a motherfucker pulls up with the rose gold optic and measures your temperature at 1,000 yards or something like that. I'm not professional enough for this. I'm sorry, continue to go. That's going to make it in, I'm sure. Outside of my comment about pulling up on people being a gangster, my people are simple. By my people, I mean me. I'm a very simple man. I'm not very intelligent. So if you had to explain this to me, what does it look like when we're actually looking through it? And we'll pop up a picture for you guys as well so you can kind of see.
So we're going to have the etch reticle remain where it's at. That's adjusted mechanically and is independent of the operation of the active reticle display. When you range a target, there's an illuminated dot over the center of the reticle. You place the center of the reticle over the target that you would like to range with the press of a button. It then calculates your ballistics based on the range to target, and it displays your drop with 10-mile-an-hour wind holds to the right and left. So all you need to do is take and put that illuminated dot on your target, focus on the fundamentals of marksmanship, and take a shot.
So you're telling me I should be able to take this right now and take a shot at 700?
You got it.
All right, cool, let's do it. Okay, so I have a target way far out there. don't know the distance, and guess I'm gonna shoot it and hit it first round impact. So let's give it a shot. Okay, gonna range it. Okay, got it at 699. It's giving me my drop. Well,
Was it too easy? I mean, that was...
I would like to sell my other optics at this time. How much does this cost? So I have to explain to you guys how easy it was to make a shot with this optic. So it's all zeroed, of course, and we've done that before, and it's very simple to do. I ranged it. It was at 700. It lets me know, and also shows me like where my beam is going for the ranging, which is important, so you know what you're actually ranging off of. And then it just, on the optic, it just gave me a center dot, which was my drop, and everything kind of calculated in. It's magic, in case you guys don't know. And then it also gives me wind holds, which are 10, correct?
Yep, 10 mile an hour.
We didn't have any wind, so I held just on the dot and fired in first round impact. So that was no other calculations, no other apps. It just did it all within the optic, and I'm very disappointed in almost every other optic that I currently own as of right now.
That's fair.
I really want this optic system. I'm not, okay, get out. I'm not paid off by Vortex. It's just actually really freaking cool. Like, this is a really cool optic, and I can't stress how simple this has made long range shots. Like, this is really freaking cool. Okay, you can come back. Are we able to talk about the capabilities, like how far this thing can do everything?
Great question, Mike. Unfortunately, information is restricted. However, we can say that the optic is capable of ranging and engaging point and area targets of the XM5 and the XM-250 weapon systems and beyond.
It's like the Godzilla. It's like this information is restricted. It's like, oh, I wish we could show it, but yeah, once you get your hands on this and start shooting it, it really does make everything feel kind of a little bit more obsolete. Now, I will give you a couple criticisms of this optic. So the biggest thing is when we're talking about a low power variable optic, if we're moving through, if we're in a high threat environment and we have this thing at low ready where we're looking over the top of the optic, we obviously have to have the weapon depressed more down. That's due to the laser range finding unit that we have on top.
Yep.
So there's always a use case for everything, right?
Yep.
So in a close quarter situation, this obviously is not the optic that you want, but we're talking from, variable unknown distance like you'd see in multiple combat environments. This is a wonderful optic. It's just, you have to understand there are, of course, going to be limitations. You're not going to have an optic that can, as of this video, that can shoot and range this far and then is also as quick as like an EOTech or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, heads-up display like a holographic or a red dot still have their place on entry guns, and that's a great thing about LPVOs, right? I mean, they can do it, but they really shine at distance targets.
Now, what is really interesting about it is the reticle does actually change based on your magnification level. So when you're at a 1 power, you simply have a nice bright dot, and you can actually change the color on that dot. So right now I kind of have it like an amber color, which is very attractive. I like it quite a bit. But when you start to pull the magnification up is when we get into the laser range finding and the bullet compensating kind of reticle itself. And can you kind of tell me a little bit behind that, like why you guys did that?
Yeah, so we wanted the operator to be focused on those close threats and not be unnecessarily distracted by anything in the optic. It's really easy with technology like this to make it too complicated and have too much going on. So we know that at 1x, right, guys are likely going to be engaging close threats, and it's a range that you're not going to need drops for, right? Like you're not going to be trying to get a drop on somebody at 25 meters in all likelihood, right? And then as we come off 1x, we have what we call our precision engagement setting, which allows the optic to range target and display the corrected aim point off of that range to the target.
Very neat. It's honestly from 0 to 200, you really don't need the reticle, but once you're pushing past those distances, this is where it's really cool, and we will show you that in just a little bit here. I do want to talk a little bit about this box up here.
Yeah.
So we do have the IR laser and invisible laser on that, and we've used both of them. They're quite bright. As far as an illuminator capability, that's kind of the only thing in my mind that's currently missing from the unit.
Yep.
So it doesn't fully kind of replace a N-Gall or a MAL for me at this moment. It's getting closer. Are you able to talk about any kind of future improvements that are planning to be made?
Yeah, great question. So one of the things that we made sure to emphasize with this program was the upgradability of the fire control. We want this program to be able to grow with the technology increases and with the needs of the warfighter. So as such, we have 3 enabler interfaces built into the Optic already.
Oh, really?
We do, yep. So in the very front, we have the remote enabler interface. And so this remote here is completely removable from the unit. In detaching the remote, all your core capability is still maintained by the 5-button keypad. So nothing's lost if the remote is removed, damaged, and it can be replaced, by just simply pulling it out and, plugging a new remote back in.
Okay.
On the very front of the remote, for what's going to be fielded, for the initial fielding of the XM-157, is a 5-pin connector up front, which allows control of things like a flood, be it IR, white light, whatever you need, right? An open interface allows...
They outthought me.
An open interface allows for more versatility, for whatever the needs of the threat environment dictate.
Okay. And so this, in theory, then could be upgraded, right? So
Indeed.
as improvements in technology are made, this could be swapped out and we can have something new.
Indeed, yep. So this is actually only connected by four bolts on the bottom of the Optic.
Okay.
And then we have an interface, a pogo pin interface on the front and in the rear. So the front has a covered and is completely unused in the initial fielding of the Optic. And then the rear enabler interface is taken up by this range finding enabler at the back.
Are there any plans for anything to go up there at this moment, or is that all? It's all
So we're actually really excited about some of our plans for the future for this Optic. So in having an open interface like that, it gives us a lot of possibilities. You can get it can be as simple as anything from putting a offset red dot up there. But one of the things that we're particularly excited about is we're actually working on a thermal module that will be offset of the Optic. And that will be able to pipe the image directly into the displays already incorporated into the fire control. And so you would have one color display your thermal outlines for your threat identification and detection, and then you would have another reticle color be able to display your drop points.
Holy, what am I supposed to say to that? That's ridiculous.
Vortex has a nice box.
I guess my question is, first question.
Yep.
If I put a riser on this, can this Optic figure that out? Like, are you able to input something into it to let it know what height it's at?
Absolutely. So this Optic is not only for the next gen weapons. As you can see, we've got an SDMR clone here on the table. You're going
to say that and the cloners are going to hop in and be like, actually.
Very fair, right? We use a program called GBSSA, so it's Government Ballistic Software Small Arms. This is an Army-owned ballistic solver, and it can account for any of your variables, just like most any other ballistic calculator out there, right? So while we have pre-programmed weapon profiles for what we expect the unit to be issued, you can also build out a custom weapon with all the parameters that your weapon would use to include sight height. So if you wanted to put a riser on it, all it would be doing would be going into building out a custom weapon profile and then, adding your appropriate sight height.
Now, is that based on height over bore, or is it just based off like an AR pattern weapon?
Height over bore.
Okay, interesting. That's, well, I guess that solves my question. Are we able to talk about any of the profiles that are currently installed on this reticle?
Yeah, I mean, it's anything that everyone's going to actually be fielding right now. So we have profiles for the new NGSW guns. We've got M4, M16, 240s and 249s are also something that we've tested at length with the Optic.
Oh, cool.
We have some pretty cool capability with those as well.
Does it work at 50?
It does. Yep, and we've got profiles in there for the M2, believe it or not.
Well, don't mind if we do at some point. So obviously we have optic height, and then of course the other question is going to be battery life. And I know this is kind of harder because it's like asking what is the battery life on like an N-Gall? It's like, well, how much are you using in the N-Gall? It's like, well, I don't, because I don't have night vision, so therefore I never use it. But what is the actual battery life? So if we're talking about, ranging a couple times a day, using this as a soldier would use it out in the field, like think about a guy at an NTC, right, for 2 weeks. Like, is this going to last the entire time? Battery
life on this is going to be several weeks.
Okay.
So based all on, again, the ideal mission profile, that's with a lot of ranging, that's with some active lasers. It'll be several weeks on time, and it's powered by 2 CR123 batteries.
Oh, cool. Can you show the changing the...
Absolutely, yep. So battery compartment, a simple twist off, and then we have a nipple up and nipple down.
Oh.
If I can say that on
Yeah,
YouTube.
you can certainly say a lot more than that.
So as long as we have a positive terminal out and a positive terminal in.
So they can't screw it up, essentially.
Exactly. You can be doing it by feel rather than having to actually observe what the optic is.
Not bad. And that power, those batteries power everything.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. So no need right now for external battery packs based on the power draw. However, again, with the added capabilities and the enabler interfaces, if they decide that they want to do something in the future, if they want to integrate powered rail, power packs, things like that, the system can upgrade with those increased capabilities.
Now, I wanted to wait until we talked about a lot of the capability before we talked about kind of this last point, which is, of course, going to be weight.
Yep.
Which is a question that everybody asks. So now that people are kind of understanding what the capabilities are and kind of the different units that you're able to kind of incorporate and take off of your rifle off the front. So when we talk weight, this is always going to be a concern.
Absolutely.
They look at this guy and they're like, that is huge.
Yep.
So what can we say about weight right now?
So I can tell you I've taken a competitor's 1 to 8, right? Good glass quality.
Who could it be?
With a mount with a dive board, and then put a rangefinder enabler on the top. Didn't have the PEC because the rangefinder had the pointer capabilities included on it. And this optic, the fire control, comes out less weight than the equivalent system, except this has the integrated display with the active reticle that just makes shooting that easy.
And also IR and vis laser
Yep.
and all that kind of stuff as well.
Yep, which both systems had that for the weight.
Interesting. And then I would imagine too, as time moves on and technology kind of matures, we'd probably be able to save some weight on this unit as well, and probably future iterations.
Absolutely. Yep. There's always things that can be stripped down, added. Again, the modularity of the system really promotes whatever the needs of the soldier and the operator are.
Yeah, and to talk frankly, because I'm not part of Vortex, of course, guys, it's going to weigh more than your typical. It's like, oh, is this going to weigh what a Leupold Mark 6 weighs? No, a Leupold Mark 6 is a 1 to 6 optic, so of course not. This is going to weigh more. You're of course getting a lot more capability. You have to weigh the weight versus the benefits that you're getting. From what I have seen, I would put this on every single weapon that I currently own, just due to the massive increase in just capabilities I have. Phenomenal for what it is. So I understand the weight concern. To me, especially as we're shifting weight back off the front of the gun with some of our IR devices,
Yep.
It makes sense to me.
Glad you think so.
Vortex bucks. So SIG is going to be selling the Spear, whatever they possibly can.
Yep.
The question is, are you guys going to be selling this guy?
Great question, Mike. So the caveat for the answer is that we need to address the Army demand first, right? We are contractually obligated to do so, and that demand is going to be significant for the next couple of years, right?
Okay.
Our current contract is up to 250,000 units. It's going to take a while to get to a steady state and to meet all that initial demand.
Okay.
Once initial demand is met, right, it's going to be something that Vortex is going to be reevaluating.
Oh, awesome.
Realistically, right, there's nothing that's classified in the terms of the core capability of the fire control, and this technology, this active reticle with a display integrated in the first focal plane, is going to be the future of optics. So you're going to see it out there, but we're not going to promise any sort of deadlines or dates or anything like that.
Understood. I guess the real question was, is the Army, is there anything in the contract that currently states that you can't sell it in the future, I guess?
No, there's nothing in the contract that,
Awesome.
We won't be able to sell it as the XM-157,
Sure.
but the core technology is something that Vortex produces this and Vortex can sell.
Well, I can't wait to flex on the pores with this in a few years. Second question, is it powerful enough to play Doom?
If you ask our software guys, they've probably already incorporated it into the the software.
You're laughing, but I don't think this is funny. I actually want to know.
They probably have it. It's got.
I want to play Doom through my reticle.
Days to play Snake.
Ooh.
And I download Snake
Because it has the buttons on the side, so I can.
Snake would probably be the easier one to incorporate, and our software guys really want to put little hidden Easter egg code in there. So maybe that's Snake, maybe not. We'll see.
I can't wait. A couple of notes from me as far as zeroing is concerned. Once you have this weapon zeroed, if you guys are used to like zeroing a PEC 15 as far as zeroing the IR laser, it's much like that. They have a little card that they can make, or you can just zero it off a 25-yard target if you're in the Army and you never get to shoot beyond that. So there's kind of provisions there to make sure that you're able to zero everything and make it correct. It's fairly simple, I would say in many ways a little bit simpler simply because the display is telling me precisely what I need to do. But with all those things being said, we have a huge range, we have a lot of ammo, a cool gun, and lots of targetry, so I feel like we should start unknown ranging reticles and shooting and trying to get first round impacts.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
We also have the ability to save multiple targets inside your field of view at once. So all we need to do is press a button. Okay. And if you look through the optic, you'll see that there's a save symbol in the upper right-hand corner.
See it.
So go ahead and range a target.
Okay.
Once you have a target ranged, it'll prompt you if you'd like to save that target or if you'd like to discard it. So if it's a good range, go ahead and press and hold. And now you have that target saved, and we can save up to 10 targets.
Oh, no.
Now you can save multiple targets in your field of view.
Am I allowed to say what I'm seeing right now?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it has them saved, but because this is also positional with direction and everything, it's actually saving them. So as I pivot across, it's like Battlefield, where it like has like the icon over it, and it's ranged.
And it like changes the dot in real time?
Yeah, it's
the hold and everything?
It's just, it's like Battlefield, but like really scary because it's real. Pretty neat. So we've saved the 3 targets out here, Micah, if you want to pan to those. So we have the berm right there. It's about 400-ish. Then the next one over is about 500, and the next one over is about 600. So we'll see how good this is, or how good Grantham is. Cool. Well, 3 first-round impacts going from 3 to 600.
Were those the saved?
Yeah, those are the saved ones. So it had them all already ranged because it already shows me the BDC and the reticle.
So in real time, as you panned over.
Well, no, it's already saved there. So it's like there's
gosh,
it just shows me the drops I need as I'm going through with the wind holds as well going out. So it just takes all the guesswork out of it. This is take some more shots. I'm at 1x right here. That was at 200, ranging this guy, 701.
Impact.
I think it's really hard to kind of adequately describe how good this is. I think that what we're seeing here is kind of the first wave of probably technology that will end up taking over the optics world. I would say probably within 10, 15-ish years, you're probably going to see most optics using some type of active aiming reticle in military use. Civilian, I would imagine, is probably not too far behind. In fact, I would imagine within the PRS world, this will certainly take off as well. It's just good technology. It's quick, it's robust, and I'm sure we'll see it mature quite a bit more. It's hard to predict things like this, but it just makes sense. Given how easy it is to make shots with this thing right now, it's it. Now, of course, if you're not training, if you don't have those marksmanship fundamentals, it's still a wash. But the optics certainly makes any platform it's on a much more lethal system in every single way I can think of. Cool tech, man. World's changing. But as with everything, guys, if you're not getting training, it won't matter. So get out there and get training. There are many great places to get training from. Think of Haley Strategic, Bear Solutions, Cogworks, and of course us, with Onward Research. We're going to be offering training courses soon. Get out there, train, get good. Guys, thank you so much for watching. This was a really cool look at some future technology that will be everywhere within the military very soon. So thank you for coming to the channel. And as always, we're just excited to be able to bring you something like this. So got nothing else for you. Final thing for you guys. Get on, get here, Alex. Alex, for my Lost Wayward Children, we do a dad advice segment.
Yep.
So you get to give my poor people dad advice. He's ready.
Don't belittle people for things that they had no opportunity to learn. We're in a increasingly specialized society, And it's really easy to take for granted what we know versus what other people know. So if you're teaching somebody something, you know, don't belittle them for something that they never had the opportunity to learn. You know, a lot of people don't have access to guns or go out hunting or things like that. You know, belittling them and talking down to them for not knowing something that they never had the opportunity to learn just turns them off.
I love it. That's
Mega-based.
Yeah, that's mega-based hack. That's what I was when I was used to teach survival. That was the thing. It's like, hey, they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Like, don't be mean to them because of it. Very cool. Thanks for coming on, man. Of
course.
Appreciate Vortex allowing us to kind of give everyone a first look at this.
Yeah, it was
Very
great.
cool.
Great having you guys out.